Hey, Flo here. Basically in the same general area, just came down a little bit further where this big log is. I'm going to sit here and try to do one last reading. Not having any luck with the signal stuff, so I'm just going to have to add the slides later. Oh man, this is slippery. It doesn't look slippery, it looks dry, but I guess it's slippery, so hoping just to sit on here should be fine. Okay. Won't be the most comfortable, but surprised at how slippery it is. It's weird. Might get to see the sunset here. I don't know what it's going to do exactly, but definitely got a bird going nuts. I guess there's probably a nest around here that they're concerned about. Alright, so this last reading for the day, I'm going to be reading as much of this as I can until it gets dark, I guess. 2 Kings 12 and 13, 2 Chronicles 24, and Romans 13. Second Kings chapter 12. In the 7th year of Jehu, Joash became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 40 years. His mother's name was Zibiah. She was from Beersheba. And Joash did what was right in the eyes of the Lord all the days he was instructed by Jehoiada the priest. Nevertheless, the high places were not removed. The people continued sacrificing and burning incense there. Then Joash said to the priests, "Collect all the money brought as sacred gifts into the house of the Lord, the census money, the money from vows, and the money brought voluntarily into the house of the Lord. Let every priest receive it from his constituency, and let it be used to repair any damage found in the temple." By the 23rd year of the reign of Joash, however, the priests had not yet repaired the damage to the temple. So King Joash called Jehoiada and the other priests and said, "Why have you not repaired the damage to the temple? Now, therefore, take no more money from your constituency, but hand it over for the repair of the temple." So the priests agreed that they would not receive money from the people, and that they would not repair the temple themselves. Then Jehoiada the priest took a chest, bored a hole in its lid, and set it beside the altar on the right side as one enters the house of the Lord. There the priests who guarded the threshold put all the money brought into the house of the Lord. Whenever they saw that there was a large amount of money in the chest, the royal scribe and the high priest would go up, count the money brought into the house of the Lord, and tie it up in bags. Then they would put the counted money into the hands of those who supervised the work on the house of the Lord, who in turn would pay those doing the work, the carpenters, builders, masons, and stone cutters. They also purchased timber and dressed stone to repair the damage to the house of the Lord, and they paid the other expenses of the temple repairs. However, the money brought into the house of the Lord was not used for making silver basins, wick trimmers, sprinkling bowls, trumpets, or any articles of gold or silver for the house of the Lord. Instead, it was paid to those doing the work, and with it they repaired the house of the Lord. No accounting was required from the men who received the money to pay the workmen, because they acted with integrity. The money from the guilt offerings and sin offerings was not brought into the house of the Lord. It belonged to the priests. At that time, Hazael, king of Aram, marched up and fought against Gath and captured it. Then he decided to attack Jerusalem. So King Joash of Judah took all the sacred objects dedicated by his fathers, Jehoshaphat, Jehoram, and Ahaziah, the kings of Judah, along with his own consecrated items, and all the gold found in the treasuries of the house of the Lord and the royal palace, and he sent them to Hazael king of Aram. So Hazael withdrew from Jerusalem. As for the rest of the acts of Joash, along with all his accomplishments, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And the servants of Joash rose up and formed a conspiracy and killed him at Beth Millo on the road down to Silla. His servants Jozabad, son of Shimeath, and Jehozabad, son of Shomer, struck him down, and he died. And they buried him with his fathers in the city of David, and his son Amaziah reigned in his place. It's kind of a weird story that I wonder why they conspired against him like that. Okay, where's my... Oh, I had my camera on the log when I started, and I forgot I actually put it on myself to get some pictures while I'm here. Oh, shoot. Battery. It's about time, though. I've been using this battery for a while. Hopefully I have another one that's not drained. One picture is good, I guess. It looks like it could be a pretty nice sunset, depending on what the clouds do for the next half hour or so. Second Kings chapter 13. In the 23rd year of the reign of Joash, son of Ahaziah, over Judah, Jehoahaz, son of Jehu, became king of Israel, and he reigned in Samaria 17 years. And he did evil in the sight of the Lord, and followed the sins that Jeroboam, son of Nebat, had caused Israel to commit. He did not turn away from them. So the anger of the Lord burned against Israel, and he delivered them continually into the hands of Hazael king of Aram and his son Ben-Hadad. Then Jehoahaz sought the favor of the Lord, and the Lord listened to him, because he saw the oppression that the king of Aram had inflicted on Israel. So the Lord gave Israel a deliverer, and they escaped the power of the Arameans. Then the people of Israel lived in their own homes as they had before. Nevertheless, they did not turn away from the sins that the house of Jeroboam had caused Israel to commit, but they continued to walk in them. The Asherah pole even remained standing in Samaria. Jehoahaz had no army left except 50 horsemen, 10 chariots, and 10,000 foot soldiers, because the king of Aram had destroyed them and made them like dust at threshing. As for the rest of the acts of Jehoahaz, along with all his accomplishments and his might, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? And Jehoahaz rested with his fathers and was buried in Samaria, and his son Jehoash reigned in his place. In the 37th year of the reign of Joash over Judah, Jehoash, son of Jehoahaz, became king of Israel in Samaria, and he reigned 16 years. And he did evil in the sight of the Lord, and did not turn away from all the sins that Jeroboam, son of Nebat, had caused Israel to commit, but he walked in them. As for the rest of the acts of Jehoash, along with all his accomplishments and his might, including his war against Amaziah king of Judah, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? And Jehoash rested with his fathers, and Jeroboam succeeded him on the throne. Jehoash was buried in Samaria with the kings of Israel. When Elisha had fallen sick with the illness from which he would die, Jehoash king of Israel came down to him and wept over him, saying, my father, the chariots and horsemen of Israel." Elisha told him, "Take a bow and some arrows." So Jehoash took a bow and some arrows. Then Elisha said to the king of Israel, "Put your hand on the bow." So the king put his hand on the bow, and Elisha put his hands on the king's hands. "Open the east window," said Elisha. So he opened it, and Elisha said, "Shoot." So he shot. And Elisha declared, "This is the Lord's arrow of victory, the arrow of victory over Aram, for you shall strike the Arameans in Aphek until you have put an end to them." Then Elisha said, "Take the arrows." So he took them, and Elisha said to the king of Israel, "Strike the ground." So he struck the ground 3 times and stopped. But the man of God was angry with him and said, "You should have struck the ground 5 or 6 times. Then you would have struck down Aram until you had put an end to it. But now you will strike down Aram only 3 times. And Elisha died and was buried. Now the Moabite raiders used to come into the land every spring. Once, as the Israelites were burying a man, suddenly they saw a band of raiders. So they threw the man's body into Elisha's tomb. And as soon as his body touched the bones of Elisha, the man was revived and stood up on his feet. And Hazael king of Aram oppressed Israel throughout the reign of Jehoahaz. But the Lord was gracious to Israel and had compassion on them, and he turned toward them because of his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And to this day the Lord has been unwilling to destroy them or cast them from his presence. When Hazael king of Aram died, his son Ben-Hadad reigned in his place. Then Jehoash son of Jehoahaz took back from Ben-Hadad son of Hazael the cities that Hazael had taken in battle from his father Jehoahaz. Jehoash defeated Ben-Hadad 3 times, and so recovered the cities of Israel. Second Chronicles chapter 24. Joash was 7 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 40 years. His mother's name was Zibiah. She was from Beersheba. And Joash did what was right in the eyes of the Lord all the days of Jehoiada the priest. Jehoiada took for himself 2 wives, and he had sons and daughters. Sometime later, Joash set his heart on repairing the house of the Lord. So he gathered the priests and Levites and said, Go out to the cities of Judah and collect the money due annually from all Israel to repair the house of your God. Do it quickly. The Levites, however, did not make haste. So the king called Jehoiada the high priest and said, Why have you not required the Levites to bring from Judah and Jerusalem the tax imposed by Moses, the servant of the Lord, and by the assembly of Israel for the tent of the testimony? For the sons of that wicked woman Athaliah had broken into the house of God, and had even used the sacred objects of the house of the Lord for the Baals. At the king's command, a chest was made and placed outside at the gate of the house of the Lord, and a proclamation was issued in Judah and Jerusalem that they were to bring to the Lord the tax imposed by Moses, the servant of God, on Israel in the wilderness. All the officers and all the people rejoiced and brought their contributions, and they dropped them in the chest until it was full. Whenever the chest was brought by the Levites to the king's overseers, and they saw that there was a large amount of money, the royal scribe and the officer of the high priest would come and empty the chest and carry it back to its place. They did this daily and gathered the money in abundance. Then the king and Jehoiada would give the money to those who supervised the labor on the house of the Lord, to hire stonecutters and carpenters to restore the house of the Lord, as well as workers in iron and bronze to repair the house of the Lord. So the workmen labored, and in their hands the repair work progressed. They restored the house of God according to its specifications, and they reinforced it. When they were finished, they brought the rest of the money to the king and Jehoiada to make with it the articles for the house of the Lord, utensils for the service and for the burnt offerings, dishes and other objects of gold and silver. Throughout the days of Jehoiada, burnt offerings were presented regularly in the house of the Lord. When Jehoiada was old and full of years, he died at the age of 130. And Jehoiada was buried with the kings in the city of David, because he had done what was good in Israel for God and his temple. After the death of Jehoiada, however, the officials of Judah came and paid homage to the king, and he listened to them. They abandoned the house of the Lord, the God of their fathers, and served the Asherah poles and idols. So wrath came upon Judah and Jerusalem for this guilt of theirs. Nevertheless, the Lord sent prophets to bring the people back to him and to testify against them, but they would not listen. Then the Spirit of God came upon Zechariah, son of Jehoiada the priest, who stood up before the people and said to them, This is what God says. Why do you transgress the commandments of the Lord so that you cannot prosper? Because you have forsaken the Lord, he has forsaken you. But they conspired against Zechariah, and by order of the king they stoned him in the courtyard of the house of the Lord. Thus King Joash failed to remember the kindness that Zechariah's father Jehoiada had extended to him. Instead, Joash killed Jehoiada's son. As he lay dying, Zechariah said, May the Lord see this and call you to account. In the spring, the army of Aram went to war against Joash. They entered Judah and Jerusalem and destroyed all the leaders of the people, and they sent all the plunder to their king in Damascus. Although the Aramean army had come with only a few men, the Lord delivered into their hand a very great army. Because Judah had forsaken the Lord, the God of their fathers, judgment was executed on Joash. And when the Arameans had withdrawn, they left Joash severely wounded. His own servants conspired against him for shedding the blood of the son of Jehoiada the priest, and they killed him on his bed. So he died and was buried in the city of David, but not in the tombs of the kings. Those who conspired against Joash were Zabad, son of Shimeath, the Ammonitess, and Jehozabad, son of Shimrith, the Moabitess. The accounts of the sons of Joash, as well as the many pronouncements about him and about the restoration of the house of God, are indeed written in the treatise of the book of the kings. And his son Amaziah reigned in his place. Oh man, it's kind of crazy how fragile we are as humans. Like, it just amazes me. Like, even the people that try with their very best to serve the Lord, and they do pretty great things. There's a great blue heron right there. Sometimes in the end they just fall. Like, you look at Solomon the king, like the wisest man ever supposedly, and then he became pretty much the dumbest guy who ever lived. And he led the entire country astray, and it was pain for generations to come. And Jeroboam, son of Nebat, he's just mentioned over and over and over again. But Jeroboam's not really a good example because he was never really any good. Wow, I'm getting like glare in my eyes. Those geese look red from looking at this, kind of at the sun too much. Anyway, I say that because it makes me concerned for myself or anyone else. Like, even if you've served the Lord all your life, every day you have to watch, keep on guard and keep watch, because you never know when one random event, one super stupid mistake that you make is going to turn your heart away from the Lord, and then not only will you pay the penalty, but those around you, your family, your friends. I mean, it's such a catastrophe and dangerous scenario. And man, I just hope that by the grace of God I do not fall away from him. I pray that kind of often, actually, and there's been times in my life where I feel like I'm slipping away, and it's just like need to remember the lessons of the past, not just not just the lessons of Israel and stuff, which is great, amazing lessons that we need to heed the warnings, but like even in your own life, when you see yourself making mistakes, just remember what's happened in the past when you've done things like that, and what God has brought you out of, like out of the slavery. And that's what I was mentioning earlier this year, a couple months ago, how I thought like the whole Old Testament, Egypt especially, but all of this that we've been reading is like a parallel to our own personal walks. Because we also too were once in the house of slavery, in the house of sin, before we were saved and before God had mercy on us. And so if we fail to realize our dependence on Him and that He's the one that saved us, not ourselves, and we get too overconfident in our own abilities, we're on the verge of falling away. And when you fall away, it doesn't matter how much strength you have or how much willpower you have to do what you think is right. If God is not in your actions and you're not giving glory to Him and you're relying on your own strength, you're guaranteed to fall. Even the strongest of us is bound to fall if we stop relying on Him. And so anyway, I just hope that that each of us can heed the warnings in Scripture and continue to rely on God for our strength each day. I mean, I fall all the time. I fall into temptation, or I get angry, or just whatever the thing is. I face a challenge, and I still have yet to figure this out, to be honest, like how to fight against evil in my own heart, whether I should just like be a man, and fight, or if I should be humble and just say, Lord, I want to be strong, but I'm not. I need you. The more and more I go through this life, the more I've come to the conclusion, I think pretty firmly, that I don't think I can do it. Just like Israel had zero chance against Egypt or Canaan, because it was impossible. They were giants, they were warriors, they were well-trained armies, fortified cities. I feel like that's the same message to us. I genuinely believe that. I could be wrong, but I think there's a parallel there, that we cannot do it on our own, that we cannot fight sin and temptation in our lives. We need God, like desperately. We need Him to answer the door, essentially. There's this old song by Don Francisco, I think it's called The Package. Kind of always reminds me of that song, because temptation and hardship and difficulties and sickness and other things, trials, come our way, and I honestly think that maybe always we should have that mindset. I think that's kind of the path that I need to go myself. Whether you guys agree or not, I don't know. But just the idea that, Lord, somebody knocking at my door, would you please answer it for me, because I don't want to open the door and let them in, because I know they're going to be too strong for me, but you're stronger than everyone. There's no one who can face you when they see your face at the door, and your power and your ability. Please take this from me, Lord, and just fight for me. Win the battles, because I don't have the strength to do it. I can't fight this temptation. I can't bear up under this burden. It's too much for me. I tend to think, it seems like that's the message that the Lord is speaking to me. I guess, I don't know if it's just for me or if it's a universal principle. Maybe you can decide for yourself if it feels like it rings true for you or not. But that's honestly what I believe He's telling me. And I'm going to share it and just let you decide what to do with it. But I feel like that's what I need to do from now on, is just, okay, yeah, I'd love to get stronger and be able to face stuff in my life and all that, whatever. But I think most of the time, I think I need to let God deal with the enemies of my soul in my life that are too strong for me, and to answer those who would wish to do me harm. And even my own spirit that tries to sabotage me when it speaks to me in condemnation, or tries to tempt me, like my own flesh and my natural tendencies are set against me as well. And so it's just like it's all too much for me. I wish I was stronger. Honestly, it'd be nice just to be able to go through life with relative ease and stuff. But at the same time, like Paul says, I rejoice in my weakness, because when I am weak, I am strong. And the reason is because God takes over. He allows us to have these trials and stuff, and these temptations and whatever, not because he wants us to sin, but because he wants us to rely on him and his strength. Faith is necessary to please him. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. And I think that's even in almost everything we do, not just, okay, you showed faith once, you offered to sacrifice your son Isaac on the mountain, so that one act, you're done, you don't have to do anything else, I'll go deal with somebody else now. No, I think it's a daily thing. Maybe there's these big events in our lives that we can look back to with greater significance, but each day we have to do that same act of obedience and setting ourselves aside and showing God that we trust in him and not our own strength. Even when maybe it seems like something that we can easily handle. You say, God, I got this, I can do it. Watch me, be proud of me, watch what I can do, like a kid does with his father. But I think in the case of the Lord, he's actually more pleased when we say, Lord, please at least join me in this. Maybe you'll let me bear some of the weight and push through and show what I've learned and grown over the years. But ultimately, I want you to receive the glory from all of this. So please, bear this up with me and be my deliverance, because I cannot do it without you. I think, I'm pretty sure that's what he desires. And we just kind of read that in Romans 12. Don't think so too highly of yourself, That's what I get out of all this, to be honest. I believe it's right, but someone could have a different idea, and I'd be okay with that. I believe that's what the Lord is sharing with me personally, and hopefully it's helpful to somebody else. Mainly because it's going to point you to the Lord. It's not about having fake humility or something. It's more just, you need the Lord. We all do. Okay, so got one more chapter here, Romans 13. This is not comfortable or good for my back, sitting at this weird angle. All right, let's finish this. The sunset might not be as amazing as I originally thought, just because there's not as many clouds around, but that's often the case. The cloud situation can change in about 15 minutes or even less. So it's really hard to predict an amazing sunset or not. Sometimes I see a cloud set up and I want to fly out the door and drive somewhere and catch the sunset, and then on my way driving out, just in 5 or 10 minutes, the clouds change and then there's no sunset to speak of, or vice versa. Looks like there's going to be no sunset, and then it just changes in the last second. It's the most amazing thing ever. Probably be somewhere in between today. Might be pretty nice. I'll probably just keep the stream going until the sunset. Get to see what it's like. So I'll read this chapter and then maybe just hang out. Again, I wish this was a live stream, then I wouldn't have to worry about my phone filling up with memory and Not sure if I can continue, but we'll just see how it goes. It'll be a huge file though, like probably 100 gigabytes or something crazy on my phone. I don't even think I have that much space though, so it'll either be huge or it'll fill up and it'll just cut out in the beginning, or randomly cut out while I'm reading here, so I better get this done. Romans chapter 13. Everyone must submit himself to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which is from God. The authorities that exist have been appointed by God. Consequently, whoever resists authority is opposing what God has set in place, and those who do so will bring judgment on themselves. For rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad. Do you want to be unafraid of the one in authority? Then do what is right, and you will have his approval. For he is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for he does not carry the sword in vain. He is God's servant, an agent of retribution to the wrongdoer. Therefore it is necessary to submit to authority, not only to avoid punishment, but also as a matter of conscience. This is also why you pay taxes, for the authorities are God's servants who devote themselves to their work. Pay everyone what you owe him: taxes to whom taxes are due, revenue to whom revenue is due, respect to whom respect is due, honor to whom honor is due. Be indebted to no one, except to one another in love, for he who loves his neighbor has fulfilled the law. The commandments: do not commit adultery, do not murder, do not steal, do not covet, and any other commandments are summed up in this one decree: love your neighbor as yourself. Love does no wrong to its neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfillment of the law. And do this, understanding the occasion. The hour has come for you to wake up from your slumber, for our salvation is nearer now than when we first believed. The night is nearly over, the day has drawn near. So let us lay aside the deeds of darkness and put on the armor of light. Let us behave decently as in the daytime, not in carousing and drunkenness, not in sexual immorality and debauchery, not in dissension and jealousy. Instead, clothe yourselves with the Lord Jesus Christ, and make no provision for the desires of the flesh. All right, made it. I think I'm just gonna, I don't know if my phone is still recording because of the space issue. As far as I know, there's no like hard limit on how long I can go on the phones. Some devices like cameras and stuff just stop after 30 minutes or something, or 2 gigabytes or 4 gigabytes or whatever, but as far as I know, the phone will keep going, but it has stopped before when I ran out of space, so I'm going to check it real quick just to see if it's still going, so I'm not needlessly thinking that I'm recording when I'm not. Oh, and also, let's see, I can't remember how to do this. Oh, how do I do that? I don't know. I was going to set the white balance. Can't remember how to do that, if I even can. Oh well. I'll keep it going for a few minutes just in case nice sunset happens. So it should happen pretty quick here. There just won't be a whole lot of clouds to shine on. Oh man, I have a lot of work ahead of me as far as doing all these videos and editing and stuff. It's ridiculous. Like I mentioned quite often, I'm working on some tools for this, but I don't know how much time it will actually save. I might, just for fun, walk around a bit. I don't have my gimbal set up, so I'm not going to worry about that. It'll be a little bit shaky and stuff, but I might try to go down by the river there and see if there's some cool reflections and stuff. Usually it's arguably maybe a little bit better up above the water, but I think I pushed this button thing already. Pretty sure. Let's do it again just in case. Actually, let me check. I think I can figure that out. Yeah, it looks like I probably did. Unless I did it twice in the other place. Alright, I'm gonna just grab my camera and go down by the water for a second. I feel like I'm forgetting how to use my phone camera or something, because I thought I could change the white balance while it's already going, but maybe you have to set that up before you start recording. I know I can do it on the streaming app. I could switch over to that, I guess. But technically, this native camera app is better quality. It's recording in what they call HDR10 plus, which whatever that means. Never really researched what that means. But yeah, I get some cool reflections down here. Might try to go down onto the sand. It's very sludgy, but there's this one spot over here that looks kind of dry. I might be able to get closer to the water. Oh, actually, no. I thought that looked dry where that lighter... Oh, let's get this reset here. I thought it looked dry down there, but that's actually just some kind of mossy junk. It looks very muddy, so I guess this is as close down here as I can get. I think I would just sink into that stuff. It would be not a fun experience. I'm kind of annoyed that I don't really see a way to change the white balance. I don't think I can. Oh, I guess, you know what, now that I'm thinking about it, since this is recording in HDR10 plus, whatever, I have no idea what that means, but I think it's recording enough color information that I can add, like, kind of change the white balance after the fact. I think that's why it doesn't offer the setting, maybe. Anyway, I don't know how much longer I'm going to keep this going. Clouds might not get that. I think they'll get pink and stuff over there, but there's not really that many clouds to ooh and ah over. I really I'm pretty happy with this phone, like generally speaking, mainly for the streaming. Like the photos, I'm like, it's not that great. It's okay. There's better cell phone cameras, I think. But for the live streaming stuff, that's kind of why I chose it, because actually the last two phones I've bought were, I thought of all the specs and capabilities in the mindset of live streaming, because I've been streaming for well over 6 years now. I'm kind of losing track. I started in 2019. Yeah, it's been over 6 years, 6.5 years. So I've gone through 2 different phones, and interestingly enough, I probably wouldn't have gone through even that many, except that the cell company I was part of forced an upgrade at one point, but took the opportunity to get the Samsung S23 Ultra and been pretty happy with it. Mainly for the live streaming. Otherwise, it's just a phone to me. I don't really get that excited about cell phones. They keep changing stupid stuff too, like, oh, let's get rid of the SD card slot, let's get rid of the headphone jack, and let's make the onboard memory really wimpy unless you pay like massive extra. It's sort of stupid. There's some color in there, but it's not like blowing my mind or anything at this point. Maybe a meteorologist could explain, but it seems to me fairly common that the clouds have just this sudden change in behavior, almost like a mood, that they go into right around the sunset. Like just prior to the sunset, for the last couple hours of the day, you'll just get like clouds moving across the sky, generally pretty fast. Like here on the Pacific Ocean, they'll come in from the ocean, generally speaking, and just head over the country that direction. But then as soon as the sunset sets, like it seems like they just almost stop, like they're just like dead in their tracks. It'd be kind of cool if they kept moving, because then you'd get like really cool time-lapse stuff on the sunsets. And if you don't like the clouds, just wait a few seconds, it'll change and maybe get better. But it seems like they kind of just, you're stuck with whatever you get. And also, it seems like there's less clouds at around the sunset and at the sunset. Not always, but I don't know, it's weird. It's probably my imagination. Sometimes it goes the other way, but I'm just kind of mentioning some of the patterns I've seen over the years at times. It's also interesting sometimes, quite often actually, I've gotten used to this. you think it's all over, okay, the color's kind of dying down now. Clouds are getting darker on the top. I guess it's all over, and then you leave early. It's kind of like leaving the fireworks early. You miss the best part at the end. These will probably turn a bright pink. Right now I'm kind of wanting it to just go faster though, because I don't think anyone's going to watch this later, and it feels kind of funny just sitting here for so long, but oh well. Not sure if you can see. Oh, there they are. They didn't go up high enough. Shoot. Got some geese flying by. Man, this is so weird. I don't understand the color science on these cameras, but it is not doing it justice. This doesn't look right. Oh, nice. That was a nice little treat. That's better. That I had to adjust it. That looks pretty close to what I'm seeing, I think. Anyway, yeah, I don't think it's going to be anything like earth-shattering from this point on. It'll get pink probably, but I think just for sake of the fact that no one's going to actually watch this whole thing because it's getting too long and everybody left after 30 seconds of watching, I'll probably end it. As I keep recording. All right, yeah, thanks for joining me. I'm going to head out, get up to the car before it gets dark. We will catch you next time. I probably won't get this posted for quite a long time after this actually happens, but we'll get it up eventually. I'll probably do a editing live stream or vibe coding, or probably editing tonight. It'll be kind of boring, but just relaxed live stream. So we'll catch you later.